All right, so now we're gonna switch it up a bit and watch some Jimmy Dore attacking the Young Turks. I love how they fight, and I hope Jimmy Dore wins because I'm kind of more on his side. So, and Noah, I think Noah doesn't really know too much about what's going on, but he'll learn from this video. Yeah. Get out of here, and we'll give you our opinions. Okay, here we go.
Let me see. I might have a video of him saying just that.
And you just heard me call Jimmy alt-left. And I decided actually is, a pretty good term for them because they live in an alternate reality. There's the real left with Bernie Sanders and AOC and Nina Turner and Ryan Grimm and David Sirota and us, where we're trying to do something constructive in the world, where we're actually trying to pass bills. And yes, we even hold those people accountable as we did in the $15 minimum wage fight.
How did you hold him accountable? This is not neither here nor there, but you didn't hold anybody accountable.
We're trying to do something constructive by inventing lies about journalists who go to Syria and challenge the establishment narrative that is used to sustain dirty wars and sanctions, and then making up a fake Me Too allegation. We're trying to do something progressive in the world. That's the progressive. Be a part of our progressive movement where we lie about people who don't want to go along with Trump administration bombings and sanctions.
That's how progressive we are. First we union bust, and then we smear people who are calling out imperialism. You don't want to be part of that? How about you want to do a camel toe segment? How about what is it you want to be part of? Here we go.
Bernie Sanders and the Just Democrats, we help get elected accountable because you need to pass the bills. Because guys, if we don't pass bills, all this is academic. It's about everybody's ego. Who cares about people's ego? Pass the goddamn bills, right? Nope. We got to tear everybody down. And in our alternate reality,
we got to tear everybody down, call them Russians, say they're working for Assad, say this guy said nice news skirt, say McCarthy can become speaker. We got to tear everybody down. Say it into a mirror.
I'll tell you the story quick.
The most important thing in the progressive movement is Jimmy Dore's feelings.
Okay, so he used to work for the Young Turks, and then he broke off, started his own show. He gets more views, more subscribers than them, and they got all this corporate money to hire new reporters and all this stuff, and they're still like getting barely, like nowhere near as many views as Jimmy Dore, and so they're mad and jealous and just make up all kinds of lies and smear them to try to get those viewers back because Jimmy Dore exposes them for who they are, which is like, they just work for the establishment, but pretend they don't. You know what I mean? And Jimmy Dore exposes them, and so see them all mad. So what they tried to do was after they started fighting, after he got his own show, Anna Kasparian had a text from Jimmy Dore or whatever where he apologized to her because he said something rude in the newsroom, and what happened was she was wearing a skirt that like barely covered her anything, barely covered her butt. And she bent over to like pick something up, and you could see everything. And Jimmy Dore said, "Nice news skirt," and so they tried to Me Too him for that. That's all he said. Nice news skirt, saying like, "How do you wear that?" On a news broadcast, right? So that's all it was. And then so they tried to Me Too him and have him canceled over it and stuff. Really? And it's just the dumbest thing. And like they thought they could blackmail him by saying like, stop like attacking us, or we're gonna bring out this Me Too allegation. Like he showed the text messages from them, right, saying if you don't stop like saying this and that, then we're gonna say that you like sexually assaulted Anna. Dang. Like they're just bastards, you know what I mean? Like they're like evil, like
Yeah, so it basically backfired on them.
Backfired huge. This is like right after it happened. I can't find the first video where Jimmy Dore talked about it, but he's kind of taught. This is probably like the second or third video. But after that, we'll watch them like try to Me Too him, like what they try to do to him, but that no one bought. So thank God, because Jimmy Dore, like, if nothing else, he at least like speaks truth, and he tells you both sides like of the Ukraine war. He'll tell you both sides. And not just what they want you to hear.
That is so sad and sick. So they've
Who says that? Who says the most important thing in the progressive movement is Jimmy Dore's feelings? If anything, Jimmy Dore's been a punching bag on the left since he started Force the Vote, and the establishment and guys like you who are the establishment is coming at me. Cenk works for Katzenberg. Katzenberg gave him $20 million. He has a board with billionaires on it. He is the establishment. He's not independent news. He's corporate news. And he is pushing imperialism in Syria. He was always for bombing in Syria. He's smearing guys like Julian Assange and Aaron Mate, who are the anti-imperialists. And so it's just crazy what he's doing. This is nothing. There's nothing left or progressive about Cenk Uygur.
Yeah, and one minimally important thing that we're saying is a requirement for the progressive movement is not lying about people, not slandering people, not trying to ruin the careers of people who, in my case, go to Syria to try to report on a dirty war that this government was involved in. He's saying that we care about feelings. No, we care about facts.
Yeah.
And not trying to lie about people and make up just malicious smears about them to taint real journalism. Like that's what we're trying to defend here. So again, when people say that this is drama and about feelings, it's not about feelings, it's about politics. A, we have to defend ourselves, and B, I don't want to be a part of a leftist movement where it's okay to lie about people if you don't like their politics.
Right.
I'm fine to debate Syria with anybody. I mean, personally, I don't want to be in a leftist movement that supports and whitewashes dirty wars and other sadistic acts around the world. But I'm willing to debate those things. What is not tolerable is inventing lies about people who hold different points of view than you. And that's a simple point that McCarthyites like Cenk can't process in their heads. And hence they have these ongoing meltdowns where they keep just lying because that's all they can do.
And that title of the alt-left. And by the way, if you want to be in there and you want to be, no, those things don't matter. The only thing that matters is the cult of Jimmy Dore, which I can't believe Glenn Greenwald has joined. Jesus, Glenn, you have no self-respect at all.
And Glenn Greenwald's another real journalist, and he exposed Russiagate, that it was fake. He exposed a lot of shit, and he's buddies with Jimmy Dore because he's a great journalist. You can't say nothing bad about him. And look at and Cenk's mad that he joined Jimmy Dore and not him or whatever. So that's all that is.
A lot of people have lost their self-respect in this fight. It's really sad to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people have lost their self-respect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of other people.
Does Cenk look like a guy who has self-respect?
No.
I mean, look at him. Look at him.
So let's keep going.
What Ana Kasparian did here with that little message, I've not said this about you, I've kept it to myself, but now that you're criticizing us, that's all going to change. That is grotesque. That is ethically repugnant. But it is also commonplace in liberal left politics.
So he's talking about the DM she sent me that was threatening me. Hey, you've been criticizing our bad journalism. Well, guess what? I'm going to weaponize this hashtag #MeToo against you and fabricate a phony charge. And he said that's despicable. He just said that. That's the worst thing you can do. And he's right. And watch what Cenk says.
Commonplace in liberal left politics. So apparently we're all guilty. Brett Kavanaugh is innocent. Jimmy Dore is innocent. But Ana is grotesque and morally repugnant. Guys, you all get to make a choice here. And if you say, yeah, I agree with Glenn, go have at it, Hoss. But it says something about you if you can't tell who's the morally repugnant one in this story. By the way, again, with she's grotesque. Go ahead.
The more serious he gets, the funnier he is. The more he straight faces this shit, the funnier it is. It is funny. Here's some more.
She's grotesque, and when I say she, I mean the version of the lie that she's telling, not the version of the lie that I'm telling. Because my version of the lie contradicts her version of the lie, so let's go with her version of the lie for this little segment of my monologue.
You're evil if you like Jimmy Dore and not him. They're screwed up.
Oh, man.
People who have no evidence just throwing around these words trying to attach it to that person. That person is a groomer. That person is an abuser. That person harasses. That person is emotionally toxic. And instantly their reputation is destroyed. No evidence is required.
No evidence. He said it over and over and over again, full well knowing there was tremendous evidence that the guy he's defending had already said it. Whatever Glenn was, he's certainly not a journalist anymore. So,
But they call themselves journalists.
So this is a big push. This is a big lift. You got to convince people Julian Assange is not a good journalist. You got to convince people that Glenn Greenwald is not a good journalist, and you got to convince people that Aaron Matei is not. This is a big heavy lift, Cenk. I'm at tip of the hat. So this is Blue Check Beth put this out. It's called Cenk vs. Cenk. And so what Cenk is doing, and Cenk and Anna are doing right now, he's going to describe. Watch.
So when I talk to progressive commentators, or I argue back and forth with them, and people I like a lot in the past, right? And I still like them, and we're going to get over it and stuff. But as I see them say things are sexist when they know for a fucking fact it ain't sexist, right? And they make charges they know for a fact aren't true. It's the one thing if a friend of mine who's not knee deep in politics makes a charge that he just heard that somewhere. He heard it on TV. That's we'll straighten that out eventually, right? But if someone kind of knows but is playing dirty pool, that's different.
Okay, can I?
Well, look, the sexism charges. Okay, here's how I feel about them. Okay. I don't give a fuck what you think, okay? Because I already know you're playing dirty pool. So if you made a legitimate charge and say, "Hey, Cenk, you see how you phrased that's an issue?" I'd go, "Oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. That's such a great point, and we'll fix that going forward, right?" And I know you played that kind of dirty pool, right? Yep. And then you're gonna turn around and tell me, "Oh, now you better bow your head. Otherwise, wait. Otherwise, I'll smear you as a sexist."
That's exactly
Come
what
at
I
it. Come and get a piece, motherfucker.
He's describing exactly what they did to me. Hey, you better bow your head. You better quit your criticism, or we're going to smear you. That's exactly what they did. Anna Kaspirin sent me a DM saying, "You've been running your mouth, and now we're going to smear you for it. We're not going to ever answer back the charges you made. We're just going to smear you." Hey, Cenk.
That's funny.
So, and then he goes says this.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that sexist?
Let me add to that.
I mean, I don't want, because we mentioned fucking mothers. I don't know. Maybe that was sexist. Maybe they'll talk about how that was sexist.
I'm sure they will.
And the horse you rode in on.
If they might be ignorant on some policy.
Cenk's talking about horse fucking again. That's his groove. So I wanted to show that to you. I mean, he's just like Trump. For everything they do, there's a video that Cenk did worse. Every accusation they hurl at someone, there's a video they did worse. And there it is. There's Cenk Uygur telling you, and here he is talking about fucking mothers, and you see my hand, I'm like, oh my God, would you shut up?
So I don't know if Glenn lied on purpose so that he could protect Jimmy from further sexual harassment claims. I don't know of any. I hope he didn't do it. I hope to God he didn't do it, but God, I don't know anything about Jimmy. I don't know anything about Glenn. I thought I knew these guys, and apparently none of us ever knew them at all. Monsters. So
me and Glenn are monsters.
Tried there.
So now, as you saw there in the earlier clip, Glenn said, she didn't speak out. It's basically, he seems like he's blaming her. He does the standard caveats in the video. I'll be way more fair than him. So in the video, he says a couple of times, it happens with women. Sometimes it happens with women that they don't say anything about sexual harassment. They come out later. But in the case of Anna, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. What do I do? Would I watch it? No, I didn't watch it. So
what?
In case you were unaware of it, here's Jimmy again admitting.
Here's Jimmy admitting he sexually harassed her. What are you doing, Papito? Oh, it's you.
She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom, and I did it. With the joke. The joke was, nice news skirt, and everyone laughed. And the next line I said, and I did it, and so I felt bad, which is why I apologized. That's the part he cut out. That's the part.
Wait, Jimmy, did he really just play a 2-second
2
clip?
seconds.
How long is that clip?
What is that, 2 seconds? Yeah.
He plays the clip, he's like, I did it. Jack's like, the smoking gun. We got him. He admitted it.
Yeah.
He admitted it.
So here we go.
Glenn, you call yourself a journalist? Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
He's calling Glenn Greenwald pathetic.
Oh, this is sad. This is getting
funny.
sad.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. And Cenk delivers it with a straight face, which is the key to comedy. And he's doing it. He's amazing. There's more. Come on, this is fun.
Okay, and by the way, they say, and this is another thing that I have to confess drives me crazy. Oh, Young Turks and Jimmy are in this fight and it's a soap opera. We didn't start this. We don't do this on the regular show. We do this once a month after they've piled up all of these lies, all these falsehoods, etc. They do it every day, all day long. That's all they do. Guys, wake up. If you're not actually part of the alt-left, wakey.
Alt-left.
When's the last time they actually did anything constructive? All right.
Force the vote.
So now,
I didn't tell you something. I didn't tell you this, and I'll confess it now on your show. I'll break some news. We didn't tell you, but Glenn and I were in Los Angeles, and we actually infiltrated the Young Turks office, and we told Cenk and Anna to call me an asset of the Russian government. So we started this whole thing. We got Cenk to do this. It was all my plan. So Cenk, when Cenk says he didn't start that, he's right. I got Cenk to call me a Russian asset and for Anna to claim that I'm working for dictators. And Glenn was in on it too. I'm sorry we didn't tell you.
I also got Anna to say that I wasn't a good person. I was a grifter, and I shouldn't be trusted around Force the Vote. And then I also told Cenk to say McCarthy could become speaker around Force the Vote. So there's a lot of things that he is right. We did start it. We started it. It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, here we go.
okay, and by the way, they say, and this is another thing that
Wait, hang on. So he goes, when toxic people attack you online, you're put in a damned if you do, damned if you won't situation. They make up horrible accusations and outrageous lies about you. If you don't respond, people start to believe it's true. You didn't say anything. If you do respond, well, that's great. You retweeted it. You said, Cenk, thanks so much for speaking out against toxic people who make up horrible accusations and outrageous lies. I've been dealing with a McCarthyite smear artist who claims that I'm paid by the Russians and refused to apologize. Any advice on how I should respond? Perfect.
I don't know what to say.
They said Aaron Mate yelled at me. And so
Aaron Mate lied. Aaron Mate. Everyone cares what Aaron Mate has to say, right?
Okay.
The guy who denies that Syrian children were killed with chemical attacks. Yeah.
And
Fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate.
the-
Yeah, fuck you.
Gets
Anyway,
paid
let's
by the
move on.
Russians.
Let's end the freaking pod. I can't.
Okay, see, that's what happened.
I can't
You
stand.
just
I
saw
can't
it.
stand that guy, and I can't stand.
So that's enough.
And all they had
Going
to do
forward,
was
guys.
apologize.
All I had to do was say, hey, we
apologize.
got upset.
That guy they're talking
We
about.
lost
Why
our
is that
heads.
so hard? I don't care if they don't like me, if they don't like my journalism. That's fine. I'll live without their approval. But I can't tolerate being slandered. And I asked for an apology. I wrote them a polite email asking for an apology, and they just ignored it because these people are not dealing in the reality that we're dealing with. They have an agenda. They don't want our kind of point of view to exist in the left, and that's why you have to make up lies to try to smear us and cancel us with McCarthyism, and that can't be tolerated. And because they are so committed to that for whatever reason, I don't know what goes on in their demented minds, they just won't own up to what started this, which is them slandering me, and this leads to this continued thing where they just keep doubling down on lies. And personally, I don't like hearing their voices and talking about them, but we will continue to correct them as long as they continue to insist on lying about us.
Yes. Let me see.
Buyer beware. When you read Glenn or you watch him, you have no idea what he's hiding from you. I mean, if he could hide this overwhelming evidence and never mention it and keep saying, I don't know if it happened, but implying that it didn't happen. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Even if you agree with his interpretation of Jimmy's comments, and if you say, hey, go get him, Jimmy, we'll look up everybody's skirt and do it at work, it's great, I love it. And you're right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter, right? But you can't say that Glenn didn't know what happened. Glenn knows exactly what happened.
Jimmy, can I say something about Glenn here? So Cenk sits in a multi-million-dollar studio, got $20 million from DNC donor Jeffrey Katzenberg, doesn't have to do any journalism. He just sits in front of a camera, you know,
Yes.
and reads
Sorry,
what.
I'm just yeah. They're not journalists. They just like you said. They do exactly what we do.
Yeah.
They sit in front of a camera and just like they never break a story. They never like find something out. They always report on other people's reports. They do exactly like what we do. It's just like it's just more current, up to date, and then all they do is complain. You know, it's like, but then you know, but that's all they ever did. And then they got that 20 million, like they said, from a DNC donor, Democratic National Committee donor. And once you take $20 million from a corporation, I'm sorry, but you're not a journalist anymore. Like you're not you know you do whatever they tell you to do. You know what I mean? Someone gives you 20 million. You if they say no, you can't say something bad about this, then of course
You're just a reporter.
yeah, but not even a reporter. You're just oh, what do they call it? A shill. You know what a shill is?
Yeah.
You do though, right?
Yeah.
Just to fight. A shill is just like a talking head, a paid talking head though, right? I love that word, shill.
His producers write and whatever comes into his demented mind, and doesn't even have to really be successful, because like you look at their numbers, and again, as I say often, the people watching the Young Turks, at least according to YouTube, it's less than the number of people who are waiting for your pre-show live stream in your chat room. Okay, so obviously Cenk doesn't have to do very much here, and then he goes and tries to disparage the work of one of the most important journalists of this generation, Pulitzer Prize winner, and whatever, put aside all of Glenn's journalistic accomplishments, you know, like basically breaking the story in Brazil that got Lula free. He'd exposed a massive criminal scheme inside the fascist Brazilian government that was trying to lock up the opponents of the establishment, especially Lula, and expose the NSA surveillance program. He's done so many stories. There's also the fact that what Glenn lives under, which is serious violent threat. A good friend of Glenn and his husband's, Dave Miranda, was a lawmaker in Brazil who was assassinated. And they live under the constant threat of assassination. They have for a long time. They have to travel with security. And so for Cenk to come on TV in his air-conditioned studio in Los Angeles and try to disparage Glenn's journalism and minimize the real sacrifices that Glenn makes for, you know, the country he lives in, Brazil, and just for the cause of like truth and accountability around the world, like the level of narcissism there and just complete ignorance about anything to do with actual progressive values in politics is stunning.
Jimmy Dore says it once in a while too, like Cenk hates Donald Trump, but he fucking is Donald Trump. You know what I mean? He wishes he was Donald Trump, but he acts the exact same way. You know, just as narcissistic. He thinks he's the coolest guy in the world, right? But I think the only views the Young Turks get is just like hate watch. You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. It is stunning. Let's see what this is.
Well, obviously it's hard to tell who's telling the truth here, but lately I have to confess that WikiLeaks has not had an astounding record. You know.
So this is when Cenk smeared Julian Assange, and you can tell he doesn't believe what he's saying, that he's been given a script, and he's signaling to donors or something. But you can tell that he doesn't believe anything he's saying here as he smears Julian Assange. The idea is that Julian Assange is now working for Donald Trump.
The way that Assange seems to be backing Donald Trump over and over and over again, it makes me very seriously question Assange's efforts to actually be a journalist and not to be a partisan. And I get it. I get why he hates the Democrats. They're trying to put him in prison, okay?
Right.
But at the same time...
So are Republicans. Let's be clear about that.
And now the Republicans are too, and they have been in the past. But it seems like Assange has picked a side. And look, it makes me question his reporting. And so that's the situation we're in now. So now is he just leaking things that he gets, and no matter what, in which case I would respect that? Or is he selectively leaking based on his political motives? Now that suspicion is out there and it's real and it's possible, well, now I'm concerned that it can't be trusted.
So there's Julian Assange Glenn Greenwald, the two most consequential journalists of our generation, and then now award-winning anti-war journalist, independent award winner, Aaron Mate. So this is a big lift for him.
I don't know if Jimmy was always this way, and now I'm worried that he was, right? And I didn't see it. Glenn, I thought was a great journalist. And
God.
either he wasn't, and all those old stories, I have no idea what he hid and didn't hide, right? Or he changed. Now, it's up to you guys again, one last time, to make the decision. Who changed for the better? Who changed for the worse? All right.
It's up to you to decide.
But for now, this is the end of this chapter, and it's certainly the end of any respect I had for Glenn Greenwald, who's become a very, very sad embarrassment.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun.
But for now, this is the end of this.
Those are super fun. They're super fun. What? Anyway.
Guys, like, can we just say, maybe hold Glenn in our thoughts for a second? Because he's been through a lot before. You know, he was threatened with prosecution in Brazil.
Yeah.
During the NSA scandal, he couldn't travel out of fear of being arrested. But nothing compares to Cenk saying that he's lost respect for Glenn. I mean, this has got to be devastating for Glenn.
Hey, like,
and
he just said, like, that journalist can't travel because he'll probably get arrested. He can't leave Brazil. That's how much he's exposed. Damn. But and then Cenk has the guts to say, I have no respect for him. Even look what he sacrificed compared to fucking Cenk.
Yeah,
Nothing. Like, it's so disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like, but he's got no other choice but to do this because they're just losing viewers, and everyone that comments just makes fun of them.
Let's hold Glenn Greenwald in our thoughts as he tries to recover from
I don't know how he's going to get...
losing respect for him. This is going to be hard. This is going to be a tough one.
Very hard.
Tough one.
Caitlin
By the way,
Johnstone...
Jimmy, you know, like that clip you played of them talking about Assange?
Yeah.
Right? And there's like that, on the screen behind them, it says campaign hacks.
Yeah.
Right? In big letters. They should take out the word campaign and just keep the word hacks there.
That's right.
In front of Cenk and Anna when they talk. And by the way, they were making those claims about Julian Assange in response to the dumbest story of all time in The Guardian by Luke Harding, a serial fabulist who came out with this article in The Guardian saying that Julian Assange met with Paul Manafort.
Trump's campaign manager.
Story.
Trump's campaign manager said that Paul Manafort had visited him at the Ecuadorian embassy 3 times, but there was there's no photos or video of it, and there was no documentation. But they printed the story in The Guardian, and the Young Turks repeated that story breathlessly as I debunked it in their same studio earlier that day.
Yeah.
And they just repeated it.
Yeah.
So here, let me. Imagine if all the people yelling that it's time to move on from TYT smearing.
When you call someone a hack, no matter like what job you're doing, it's like the worst diss you can say about someone. Like, you know, you're a hack journalist. Like, that's like that's like fighting words. If like, dude, you know, you're a carpenter and someone says, "Oh, you're a hack," like that's fighting words right there.
Aaron Mate, as a secret agent of foreign dictators, had from the very beginning just spent all that energy telling Cenk and Anna they need to retract and apologize for discussing it. Because a lot of people are going around saying, oh, would you stop talking about this? Oh, please. And she says, well, imagine if all those people yelling about that would have just told Cenk and Anna to fucking knock it off. We could have stopped this a long time ago. If left indie media had simply united along the very simple and obvious no, we don't accuse leftist anti-war journalists of being secret agents for foreign governments, this would have resolved very quickly and wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as vicious as it did. TYT defenders have been trying to make this about Jimmy Dore because A, it's easier than defending what they did, and B, because Jimmy was the most prominent voice doing what everyone should have been doing and pushing for a retraction. He shouldn't have had to stand alone there.
Exactly.
That's really the entire story of what this has been about from the very beginning. TYT smeared a journalist as a secret agent of foreign governments, refused to retract or apologize, and then started using blackmail to silence those criticizing them. Don't let them complicate this. So that's correct. Thank you, Caitlin. She's so great with words. And thank you, Aaron, for being here. I want to end this. All Our live shows are back. August.
His studio is in his garage, and it's just a green screen behind him, and someone made him that graphic.
It looks way better than theirs.
Oh yeah, and
he's alone.
His wife's like produces this but he always says that I'm just a jag-off comedian doing stuff in my garage, and like he can see through the BS that that like the Young Turks try to show out all the time, whatever.
Cause he was with them, bro. He knows they.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and for him, for that one thing to happen in like how many years he worked there, it's like that's all that happened. Like it actually makes him look good. Yeah.
Damn. How long he worked with them?
I think like 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
And they're saying shit.
They said
that
one thing happened. That's it. And they're trying to Me Too him. You know what I mean? They tried to like get him canceled. Yeah. Because she was wearing a pencil skirt like he said up to here, and then like she had like 10 or something students from like the university, and they do this course, and she brings them in to show them what they do at the Young Turks, and she was wearing this, so they were all like watching, and then she was wearing this skirt, and she bent over and you could see everything. And then so Jimmy Dore said in front of everybody, in front of like the students and everything, and really embarrassed her. He said, "Nice work, nice new skirt." That's it.
It's just a matter of time.
And he said it meaning like, you know what I mean? Like you should wear something else. You're supposed to be a journalist or a serious reporter. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's all. Yeah. And they tried to get him canceled for that. And it's like, fuck, that's nothing.
Yeah,
man. 15 years of me working somewhere, man, nothing like that, but oh man.
It's just a matter of time till the Sink and the other girl go against each other too.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. And the other thing is, I don't know. Sink is Donald Trump. They'll talk about like, oh, we're trying to make unions for people, and like they're like that kind of politics. Yeah. But then like they tried to start a union at the Young Turks, and they like squashed it. You know what I mean? So they're just like everything they do is hypocritical. But all right, that was good. Now maybe we'll like, comment, subscribe, and we'll show you more puppies or chihuahuas. They're full grown. Okay, bye.
See ya in the next video.
See you in the next video.